Hey, good morning, Midweek Motivation. It's Wednesday again. So I just wanted to pop in here, and today's message is do not disqualify yourself. Don't disqualify yourself. I was having it was a messaging conversation with my cousin yesterday, and she was trying to push me to ask somebody about doing some shirts. And I was like, oh, he's probably not going to be interested. And she was like, she said, my mother used to always say, try, they can only say no. Like, what's the worst that can happen? So then I did, and it didn't work out, but I did it. And then I said, well, my mother used to say something similar, but she would say something to the effect of nothing beats a failure like a try, something like that. And it was like, you have to try, like trying, the effort beats the failure, because you got to take the risk. You got to reach out and you got to come on out of your comfort zone and do some things that make you a little uncomfortable. And some people are uncomfortable asking for things. We're uncomfortable asking for the sale. We're uncomfortable asking for help. It shows to some people a sign of weakness. We're showing vulnerability. We're showing our frailty. We're showing, we're exposing ourselves. And so therefore people are uncomfortable asking for help or asking for things. And I know I would always say to my daughter, like, try, like, don't block your own blessings. I would say, let them tell you no, but don't tell yourself no. Don't say no before you even try it. And I remember when my daughter was 11, she was nominated for the People to People Student Ambassador Program, and she actually traveled to Greece and Italy for 20 days at the age of 11. And at that point, she had never been to summer camp. She had never been anywhere. She might have spent a couple nights at my mother's house without me. Because I grew up in the Bronx, and I was living in the Bronx when I had her up until she was about 6. And so my mother at the time lived in Philadelphia, and it was like a 2.5-hour drive. So I never drove her Fridays and then drove back home and then drove Sunday to get her. Once I drove down, I stayed. So I never left her with my mother. And then even after that, I think my daughter was 10. My mother moved over near me now, back in 2005. So it wasn't until then that we were close enough that she stayed, overnight. I think she, it was a handful of nights I could count, but she's never, like, she would stay occasionally at a friend's house, but my house was the house. My house was where all the kids came and spent the night and had the sleepovers. So she really never was away from us. And so to go from never being out of the home to going to another country for 3 weeks was a big stretch. But I took a year of preparation and I prayed about it. And people were like flipping, like my family and my friends, they were like, you gonna let your baby go all the way to Greece and Italy without you? Like, you crazy? And I said, listen, that girl could go across the street right here and get hit by a car. I know she's covered because I prayed about it, and I felt secure in it. Also, what they didn't know, and I don't feel the need to explain the decisions that I make as an adult. You're not paying my bills. I don't feel the need to explain everything that I do and to justify the decisions that I make. I know that I'm sober 24/7. There's no substances in my body. There's no alcohol. There's no nothing. I know that I make sound decisions. They're not always the best decisions. I don't always make good ones, but I know that they're not made under no crazy happenstance. But I took a year of preparation for that trip. I actually got to bond and meet with the leaders who were going to be in her group. the other parents. She actually went with one of her best friends at the time. They were both honor students and they were roommates. And so we prepared together as the two families. And so there was a lot of preparation that went into that decision. But the bottom line was, I was like, you know what? She could be the next Condoleezza Rice. Like, I wanted to expose her to things, and I didn't want her to live in the shadow of fear, because there are a lot of people, and particularly with colleges, because I used to represent Syracuse University at a lot of different college fairs, and I would meet parents whose children had never left New Jersey. They've never been out of the state, like not even to visit New York or Pennsylvania or Philly. Like they never left the state of New Jersey. So now I'm trying to recruit them to go to Syracuse, which to me is a 4-hour drive. It's not that far from here. But they were like, oh my God, like she can't go that far. Like I still have to have reins on her. I still need to be able to monitor her and hold on to her. And I'm like, you're holding her back. She could have a great experience. Like I was so excited because I felt like I had good and bad experience in Syracuse. Now, I'm not going to lie. I was called the N-word more times than you could count it. I was definitely experiencing serious in-your-face racism. And I was 17 when I started college. And I was 17, 18. I was ready to fight. I fought a lot. I physically fought. I fought a lot up there, fighting for what I felt were my rights to be there, fighting for, equality. I was brazen out the Bronx. It didn't take much for me to throw down. I had that Bronx was seeping out my pores. So I'm not going to say it was all roses, but I thought it was a great experience. It taught me how to be independent. I came back, I didn't depend. I told my mother when I turned 18, I'm like, listen, you ain't got to worry about me. I'll figure it out how I'm going to pay for this. I took my loans, I did what I had to do, and I did not leave that burden on my mother. My mother was a single mother. Yes, I was her only child, but I didn't have that sense of you got to take care of me. And I was not asking my mother for things. I couldn't wait to get my first job. The first time that I was able to treat my mother to get her hair done and to buy something for her was everything to me, because I felt like she had put her life on hold for me. She sacrificed for me. She went without so many things. I remember sharing sandwiches with my mother. My mother struggled year in and year out to keep a roof over my head. And I did not, for any sense of the word, think that I should belabor her any further, stress her anymore, or put more burden on her than I should have. When I became an adult, I became an adult. And I did my own struggling, but I tried to keep it off of her plate. And so I say that, I thought that was a great experience, and I wanted my daughter to have it, and I couldn't wait. I was counting the years. I couldn't wait for her to go away. I told her, I said, you have to go away. You cannot go to a community college or nothing nearby. You got to get out of my house. And she only went away for a year. But I think in that year, she did, do a little bit of maturing. She didn't do what I wanted her to do. She came on back and brought my little grandbaby with her. And, it didn't go the way I thought it would go or it should go. But on the same token, that year did make her independent in some sense of the word. And I always felt like kids should go away and get on a campus and fight it out and struggle. I remember the one day when I hit rock bottom at Syracuse, y'all, and I'll admit it, I went to the Hall of Languages after class one time, and I took a roll of toilet paper and took it home because I didn't have none. And I wasn't getting paid till Friday. It was rough. It was rough. I would scrape up $1 worth of change to go downstairs and get one of those pre-made packets of Kool-Aid. It was rough. I struggled up there. But I can tell you I'm better for it, because right now, when I lost my job in June, I've been through it, and so I'm not going to say I'm built for it, because I don't want to be in the struggle, but I can handle it. I've been there. I know what it's like to really be low, to really be at the bottom. And sometimes, we need those moments to build us up, because God is doing some amazing things in our lives, and we got to be ready for it. And I can tell you, there was nobody more sensitive than me. I would get my feelings hurt for the slightest thing all the time. I had to toughen up. And that took me years, like over probably 2 decades, to get that little piece together, that I could handle it. So when people discard me now and they devalue me and all those things that happen, I'm better for it. I can handle it, and I think it's a shame that I have to handle it, but I can handle it. Whereas at 17 and 18, I didn't know what to do with that. I was fighting all the time. If it wasn't physical, I was verbally fighting all the time. That I was constantly fighting. I didn't even think my sorority was going to accept me because I was so rough around the edges, but they did. And I think I got a little calmer, or I was able to channel it a little differently, I guess, maybe on the step show floor or something. I was able to channel that energy that I had. But it was definitely misplaced, and it was definitely due to a lot of internal things that I was dealing with that I needed to get it out. I had a lot of baggage. Even at 17 years old, I had already lost my father. I had already experienced a lot of different things. I saw things I shouldn't have seen. I experienced a lot of things even at that age. So I carried it into my adulthood, and I had to deal with it. I had tons of bags, just baggage, So I say, I wanted my daughter to experience that. So when I met parents who would not allow their children to go away to college because of their fears, I knew parents that wouldn't allow their children to experience certain things, like they didn't let their kids do things because of their fears and their insecurities. And I never wanted to be that parent. I never, ever wanted to do that. And so I allowed her to go. And I could tell you, in those 3 weeks when she came back, first of all, I was a bag of tears. When she got on that bus, I cried a river. And, I actually faxed her every morning. I faxed her to her hotel rooms, and they changed hotels like either every day or every other day. So it was work, just keeping up to which hotel they were in, and just trying to keep up with her to let her know what was going on at home, and that we loved her, we missed her, and all that. And and she was homesick, and all of that happened, but I think it was a great experience. She was very excited when she came back. She wanted to go back the next year. That didn't happen, but she really appreciated that trip. It was a big, humongous sacrifice, but I think she was better for it. And one thing she can say is, I gave my all. I did everything in my power to give her tools and resources and experiences that hopefully she'll take with her into her adulthood and do some great things with. And hopefully she'll pass some of that stuff down to her daughters, and allow them to do things. I know she's very, she's adventurous. She loves traveling. She travels a lot. And we take the kids, the girls have already been out of the country. So I think it has opened some doors. So I say, don't disqualify yourself. And I know I did it even up to yesterday. I caught myself, and I was like, I'm disqualifying myself. I had a conversation with a woman I didn't know from a can of paint, who is, she's a LinkedIn guru, and she's a coach. And, I was telling her that I was doing this marketing consulting, and I said, but I also, do this fitness and this health thing. And, I don't know what to do with all of that. And she was like, you know what, you need to be a marketing and wellness coach, period. Just lump it all together and build your brand that way. And I had never looked at it in that way. And I was like, I've always felt like I wasn't good enough. I always felt like, who's going to pay me to do this? Who's going to listen to me? But people do. And, I have been the one blocking my own blessing because I don't believe enough in myself. So if you don't believe in yourself, how can you convince other people to believe in you? How will other people believe in you when you don't believe in yourself or when you disqualify yourself? So we have to somehow change our mindsets to realize that we are enough. I'm enough just as I am. Like all the experiences that I have, and really to be an expert, all you need is supposedly 17% more knowledge than the next person. And you can coach them. You can train them. You can help them. It's just like when you're tutoring your children. Your children in the third grade, you might not remember everything from there. You might not remember all the math and everything, but you've done it. You got 17% more knowledge, and that's why you sit with them. And you're like, listen, carry that one over there. And, you get into the division and the long division, and then you get to where you don't want to do it. And you might get into a geometry, and now they're in algebra, and you don't remember all the, the sine and the cosine, and you don't remember all the formulas. And then they get into pre-calc, and it's like the function of X is what? You don't want to do it. You're like, you know what? I need to get you a tutor. I need to get you a young person. And especially now that they have this new math, we didn't learn it the way that they learned it. And it's not enough. I used to argue with the teacher. I'm like, listen, my way got the answer. And they're like, but it has to be this way with the diagonal lines and all this foolishness. And I'm like, because I was taught, I always had advanced classes in math and other subjects, sciences and stuff. And I always was taught there were two ways to do it. So we were always taught two ways to do a math equation. So one way you do it and the other way you check yourself to make sure you had the right answer. So we always learned that there's always more than one way to get to the answer. And it really didn't matter which way you got there as long as you get there. And when we took our Regents exams and our state exams, it didn't matter how you did it. You just had to have the right answer. So now they were when my daughter came up, it had to be a certain way. So, and it was not any way that I knew how to do. So that's another subject. But, we can tutor our kids because we have more knowledge than them. We may not have, everything. We may not be able to teach them everything because we don't remember. Maybe we didn't learn it well. Maybe it wasn't our strength, or maybe we didn't have that class at all. I don't think everybody had calculus or whatever. But anyway, so the point is that we all, if you've reached a certain stage in your life, a certain age, we have experiences. Some people say they've been to the school of hard knocks. Your experiences do count for something. Your wisdom and your knowledge does count for something. And we are enough. We are enough as we are. God gave us everything that we need to be successful, to achieve our goals. And so, there are some things we don't know, some things we're going to have to learn, some people we're going to have to meet, hopefully be introduced to or cross paths with. We're going to have to do some networking and asking and trying to find it. But don't disqualify yourself. Don't say, I'm not going to ask because they're probably not going to do it. Or I asked this person and it didn't work out, so I'm done. You ask this person and they never responded, well, we're going to ask another person. Or we may circle back to this person and, did you get a chance? I do that all the time and I can't stand it because I don't want to have to keep track of what I got to do and what everybody else got to do. But I do have to do that. Sometimes I have a notebook and I put like everything in there and I go back like a week or two and I'm like, oh yeah, I never got an answer for this. And I will circle back and type and say, did you see this email? I will forward the same email and say, I needed to know, did you receive this? Did you see this? Because I haven't heard from you yet. Depending on who it is and what I'm asking. I will circle back. So sometimes you need to circle back because it may have not been a good time for that person, but they do intend to get to you. They do want to help, or they do want to answer your question, or they do want to talk to you, but they were like swamped. They were doing something else. And just understand that your priority is not everybody else's priority, but sometimes we got to push a little bit to get in there, to get your question answered, to just get the information and the knowledge that you need so you can take a step forward. Set some realistic deadlines. Maybe April 30th is not a realistic deadline, but maybe June 30th is a realistic deadline to achieve some things that you want to achieve. But don't block your own blessings, because God didn't make us. He didn't give us a spirit of fear, one, and He didn't make us He didn't bring us this far just to leave us right here. He didn't bring us this far just to say, okay, we did X, Y, Z, and that's it, and now we just gonna sit. No, keep moving. Keep making. And when I worked at Verizon, I think for a year, and the motto was make progress every day. So make progress every day. Today is included, because we don't really know what tomorrow is going to bring. So we do need to make plans. We need to plan, but we may not have tomorrow. So we need to enjoy the journey today. I had a book club meeting this morning, and we talked about the timing and not worrying about yesterday, not bringing the baggage of yesterday into today, and not worrying about tomorrow. So we don't want to worry, but we do want to plan. We want to live purposefully. We don't want to drag baggage, but we do want to take some things into consideration when we're doing our analytic work, when we're doing analysis and trying to figure out what worked, what didn't work, what we want to do again, what we don't want to do again. And as we're building, and as we're climbing, and as we're progressing, we do have to look at some things. So just realize that you're not the weakness, you're the strength. And you do have weaknesses. And when you have weaknesses, try to build your team and get partners and other people that can fill that void for you. So if you know, like, I'm not good at this topic, then you may have to consult with an expert who is good at that topic. Maybe you want to outsource that particular thing because that's not your forte, but you're enough just as you are. God made you this way, and He built you up, and you spent time learning a thing. You're skilled at certain things. You're talented. There's certain things that come with no effort to you. Some people could go in that kitchen with no recipes. Nah, I'm a recipe girl. I sit there with my measuring cups. I need to see. I need that 1/3 of this, okay? And then once I make it, the first time, then I doctor it up the next time. I do it again, and I be like, man, I needed a little more of this, little of that. Once I get good at that particular thing, if that becomes one of my favorite things, then I don't need the recipe. But I'm a recipe girl. But some people could go in that kitchen with no recipe. They can't even tell you how they make it. They be like, some flour. I be like, well, how much flour? I don't know, enough. Flour, this, that. They just tell you what's in there, and they be whipping stuff up in that kitchen, and it is nothing. It's not even second nature to them. It's like they're sleeping, and some people can sing. Some people can get up under a car and make magic happen. You be like, I hear a noise, and I don't know what that thing is, and they be like, it's this right here. It's tightened up, and they be fixing. They be like, okay, you just need some shoe pads and this and that. I be like, shoe pads? And they go, you got to check your oils and make sure this and this is a stick and this and that and the other. I ain't I know how to get under my hood and make sure all my fluids are there. I know that much. I do know how to change my tire, but that's probably the limit. I cannot get under there and change my brake pads and all of that. But some people, that's second nature to them. So everybody has their own set of talents and skills. And, God just gives us what we need to get it done. If He gave it to you, if He gave you that car, then He either gave you the talent to maintain the car, or He's going to put some people in your path. He's going to give you a mechanic, a good mechanic, not somebody that's just ripping you off, but somebody that's going to help you take care of that car. Even if you got to take it back to the dealer, somebody's going to help you to maintain that car. So if He gave you the blessing, He's going to give you what you need to flourish that thing. So plant those seeds, because we got a lot of work to do. It ain't over. We can't sit here. Some people was acting like it was the 4th of July or our favorite team won the Super Bowl, but that ain't how it is. We can't relax. We got more work to do. As a country, we have more work to do. As a people, as a community, we have more work to do. And as people, as a family, our kids, whatever it is, we're not finished. Because if we were finished, this would have been our last day here. So the fact that God woke us up this morning, he got more for us to do. So let's accept that responsibility and know again that you are enough. Have a great day. God bless you.